How you doing?
Good. How are you? Well, what time is it?
It's Cooking with the Crandall time.
It's Cooking with the Crandalls.
I'm Art Crandall.
And I'm Art Crandall.
And this is Cooking with the Crandalls. So, we got a nice little array of foods today. Most people are afraid of deep fat frying.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's the best technique because it leaves it moist on the outside and crispy on the
inside.
There you go.
That's cool. That's all right. No, that's all right.
All right, let's go.
And as you can tell, today, right here, we've got the pineapple. We've got pineapple juice. We got everything.
Looks like some chunks there as well.
Yeah, little chunks action. So obviously, it's Mexican food. No, we're going to make a pineapple upside down cake for dessert.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. So, should we get started?
You know what? That's going to take the longest to cook, so why don't we get that situated?
Okay. You know what I'm going to do with this? I am going to, do some, throw some butter in here?
It?
Well, what's the technical term for putting a quarter cup of butter into a dish, into a thing and melting it, and then putting a cup of brown sugar in?
I suppose seasoning, to form a nice... But what I'm going to do right here, while he's doing that, is I have some mozzarella sticks, and I have some chicken tenders. And you can find them at your local grocer. But what we're doing today is we're going to bread it, and we're going to throw it into the deep fat fryer. So it should be a very tasty meal of mozzarella sticks and crispy chicken tenders. Now, what I have here is some nice already made Buffalo's chicken sauce. Now, what you do for that is you have 1/3 of a cup of butter and melt it and then add it into 1/2 cup of hot sauce. And you have your buffalo chicken coating. But, Dad, what are you doing over there?
Well, what I'm trying to do is not burn down the place here. I am basically just melting some butter and some brown sugar on here. And this is going to be so easy. We're going to make it so easy because what we're going to do is we've actually purchased a yellow cake recipe. I'm not going to tell you what the name is, but and all you have to do is just follow the recipe. So if you put a quarter cup of butter on here with a cup of brown sugar, what you do is you melt it up. I put a little bit of pineapple juice in here just to make it more liquid. And then we're going to take some pineapple chunks. You can take some pineapple chunks, you can take pineapple slices, or you can take the puree type of thing, so it's and throw it in here. And what we want to do is just to melt it a little bit and then brown up the pineapple. I'm going to throw some in here. And that actually is going to be, you know how you say a pineapple upside down cake? That's going to be on the bottom, which when we bake it, we're going to flip it over.
Put it on the top. All right.
So we're going to make it upside down.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How long does that actually take to cook?
Well, according to the directions, it only takes 35 minutes. So 30 to 35 minutes at 350.
That's some good cooking skills right there, Dad.
Thank you.
All right, but anyway, what we want to do, we want to have the right set of directions for this. And what you want to do, since the chicken has the higher internal temperature of 165, we want to put that last, and we're going to put the mozzarella sticks in first. Now, we're going to wait on that because that is actually a very quick process. All we have to do is what's called a wet, dry technique. And for meats, the protein goes, it's already wet. We douse it in the flour, which is a dry technique, and then we put it in an egg wash, which is, 4 eggs to 1 cup of milk, and then we put it in a breading. Now, for this certain thing, I have Parmesan breading for the mozzarella sticks, so we can really taste the cheese.
Gotcha.
And I have a very seasonal, I like to call it, for the chicken. Because,
seasonal?
Yeah.
Like perhaps winter or fall?
No. Containing many seasonings. I like to make up my own words,
Yep.
But anyway, we have some Parmesan, some oregano in there.
Yeah.
And we're just going to toss it in there. Now, you can find, if you want, you can make it yourself with actually breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
You can take any kind of bread, some white bread, some wheat bread, and actually just dry it up and throw it into a crumble. And that can be used as the breading process for this.
That's pretty cool. Easy, actually.
Yeah, very
Instead
easy.
of throwing away that old bread, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Actually, you can just put it in a breading.
Okay. All right. So I've followed the directions now, to make this cake. And we'll see. It's I put some, instead of water, I put some water in with a few eggs and put some pineapple juice actually in to give it more flavor.
Oh, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. And remember when we went to Hawaii? We went to that Dole pineapple plantation?
Yeah.
That was pretty
the
good.
nice little hula dancers there, right?
They take you for a big train ride, like on the Pineapple Express. Kind of goofy, but it's pretty cool. All kinds of pineapples. So what I'm going to do now is, you see this looking pretty much done. It's really easy. You can take any pie or whatever you want to put it in, and just kind of fold it in.
It's got a really nice golden texture there with the brown sugar mixed in.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put it in. Now, just be careful at home. You don't want to burn yourself. Please, don't burn yourself. Okay? That's the only part about this that could be kind of dangerous. And then we're just going to fold in. I've left this a little dry to let the juice, basically, the juice in here, to, what do you call it, suck it up or something, basically, right?
To absorb it,
To absorb, thank you. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to pop it in the oven.
All right.
So I'm done. That's
You're
it.
done?
That's easy.
Well, that's easy said right there. Well, except for that pineapple right there. You got to watch out for that.
Yeah.
Things tend to jump out at you.
Yeah, exactly.
So how long? That's going to cook at 350, correct? All right. So that's pretty
So we're
much
done.
all
on
the
this
pre-work is done on that. So you're all set.
I'm all set. You take over.
All right. So let's do the mozzarella sticks. Now, as I told you earlier, it's a wet, dry technique. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the mozzarella stick, put it in the flour first of all. It's going to suck up some flour. Make sure that you're not overcrowding the ingredient when you put it into the next thing in the row. Now, most cooks like to have one hand be wet and the other one dry. And mine is no different. So I'm just going to switch hands with that. Put it in the wet. Okay? We want to shake off all the excess, like I was saying. And then put it in the Parmesan breading. And you just want to make sure that you got it all nice, because any texture or any part of the substance that is still showing will erupt in your face in the deep fat fryer.
Oh.
So you got to be
good.
no, you don't want to have that problem. Not at all, huh?
Yeah.
Now, what else are you doing today besides that, Dad?
Oh, yeah. What is really easy too is I'm going to make a tuna casserole.
Okay.
A really easy tuna casserole that you can make in no less than 18 minutes.
That I could make, huh?
Anybody? Yeah, well, yeah, especially you. Probably 25 minutes, actually. So, all right, so you're going to keep doing that?
Yeah, I'll just continue on this, and as soon as we have all the mozzarella sticks, we're just going to douse it in the oil, and we should be done with that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. All right. All right. So I cleaned up this mess while you were just doing that. And what I did was I got the biscuits thing, and just regular old, what are these, Pillsbury or Poppin' Fresh?
Poppin' Fresh.
Yep. And you just put them on here, because what we're going to make now is biscuits to go on our tuna casserole. And this is going to be very simple, really easy. So if somebody wants to do this while the parents are on the way home, or you're just not doing much,
Some oven fresh biscuits, right? Yeah, why not?
Yeah. You know what? When I was growing up, my mother sometimes dipped these into hot oil and made donuts.
Donuts out of biscuits?
Yeah.
Cool.
It actually was pretty cool. I'm going to put that aside now. And what I'm going to do is I got a pan here. I'm going to throw a little butter into it. Okay. Warmed it up. I got some cheese, Velveeta, about 3/4 of a cup. I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to melt it. Okay. Now, it's very simple. This is just so simple. I'm just going to melt the cheese. Okay. And once the cheese is melted, that's basically the stock. You know, throw a cup of tuna in here.
Kind of like a tuna melt, right?
Yeah, basically.
Sounds
Only
good.
it's going to be a casserole that we're going to throw in here, and it's going to be really cool because, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Because it's going to be so simple. We're going to have the cheese, and we're going to melt the cheese, and you add as much, you know, you can actually add peas. These are le Sueur, French, small French.
Those are the peas I like, right?
Yeah, I know.
The canned peas, you know, they're better than the frozen ones.
Yeah, these are can of peas.
Because they don't taste awful.
Yep. So anyway, you can put whatever you want into this, but we are going to put in just some tuna and peas, throw it in this, put it in at 425 for 10 minutes, okay, while these cook, and then when we come out and present it, we could put the biscuits back on top, because if you put them right away in, sometimes they get too soft and mushy.
Yeah.
Cook them a little separate, and then we can put them back on, sprinkle some cheese on them, throw them in the oven for 5 seconds, let it melt, and then boom, you got a good presentation.
I see what you're saying.
Yep.
But right now we're letting that melt to form. You said a stock?
I don't know.
I don't think you used the right word there.
I'm sure not.
Just like a liquid basis, right?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I'm just letting it melt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. All right. Well, he's doing that. I guess we may as well get started on our mozzarella sticks because I'm going to have to wash out this pan so I can use it for the chicken. So, I suppose we could go and do that right now.
Okay. And while we're making sure that this is all nice and good, you could use as much cheese as you'd like. Okay. And use as much cheese as you like. And as much peas and cheese and everything else. It's just really that simple.
Well, now that we got that, we can start putting in our mozzarella sticks. Now you want to make sure they're even and the same size because otherwise another one will get cooked before the other one is done.
So they basically got to be uniform, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Uniform in measure. Now we're putting those in, and we got a nice little doozy here. That's all we got to do is push it down, and we'll wait on that. We'll give that a couple of seconds.
Now that's a nice thing, isn't it? That cooker thing.
I really like it because you can put the top down after, and you can see what you're doing as you want because it's got an opening thing, and all you got to do is lift on this, and you got it coming up.
Cool.
So we got that going, and
adjust the temperature, whatever
exactly.
you want. Yeah.
And you want
it's pretty safe, right?
You want to cook it, no problem. You want to make sure it's cooking at a temperature of 375 because that's what you fry foods as.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's true.
Is that so it doesn't get like all saturated with oil on the inside too?
That's true.
Okay.
These are turning out pretty nice, actually. I like this. Mozzarella sticks are actually one of my favorite appetizers if you're going to a restaurant for them. And once they're done, we're just going to let them sit on this drying rack right here. Now, Dad, what are you doing over there?
I'm messing up big time over here. I was supposed to make this more thicker and have the roux, but what I'm doing is I'm letting it kind of boil off or melt down because you want this as more or less thicker when you put it into the pan, and so it doesn't take that long.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But you're right, I wanted that roux first.
Yes.
And that's the roux, is the little butter and the little
flour, Dad.
Flour, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now you want your mozzarella sticks. Sometimes I prefer them a little crispier, so you want it a nice deep golden brown. But as for your mess up over there, it should be fine because you can use the flour as a thickening agent. Okay. It's just going to taste a little more starchy because you didn't melt the flour at first, you know?
Really? I didn't know that. So that's how it doesn't taste as starchy.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Now we're just taking them out. As you can see, the cheese is seeping through, which is a good quality of a done mozzarella stick. Now, as we're doing that, we're just going to lie them out, and they should be okay. They're a little sticky, but that's fine because the cheese is actually... We'll separate them after we're done. But as for this, they're just cooling down. Sometimes you want to let them cool down so they harden a little bit before. So I'm just going to sit them right over there. We should be all set with that. I'm going to just put the other two undone ones right in there. They should be fine next to those. But as for you, Dad, I see it's a little thickening.
Yeah, it's thickening up. This is going to take a little bit. How's this chicken? What do you have to do for the chicken?
The chicken? For the chicken, it's the same breading technique, actually.
Because I'll take over here and you do the chicken.
You know what? Why don't you do that? Thanks a lot, Dad.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, what we're going to do for the chicken tenders is a lot of people put the buffalo sauce on the bread, and it's going to blow up in your face if you put it in the fryer. So what you want to do is you want to actually add the buffalo sauce after you're done with that. And while my dad's taking care of the mozzarella sticks right now, which are turning out great, they taste even better. But I'm just going to dip it, and we're going to do the same breading procedure as before, where you keep one wet and one dry hand. And you put it in the flour first, and then you put it in the egg wash. And I actually, Dad, I'm going to steal this pan right here.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Sure.
It's already floured, so it's going to be good to stick it in. So we'll just put that in there, and we're just going to batter this up with the breadcrumbs. You want to make sure you have a lot of breadcrumbs because you want to make sure it's covered all the wet spots on the chicken, or else, like I said earlier, they'll explode on you. But we're just finishing up the breading technique. The casserole is still in the oven. Or no, that's the casserole right there. The upside down
pineapple cake
is still in there.
Yeah.
And that's cooking, and that should be done pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Now you just want to make sure, this is actually can be a messy process, so you just want to make sure you have some, paper towels by or something, just in case you make a spill. But this is fairly simple. All you got to remember is that it's wet, dry, wet, dry. Starts out wet, goes into flour, goes wet again when it's turned into the egg wash, and then it goes dry again when you put it in the breading. It's as simple as that. You can just do it over and over and over again. And I know Mom's used that technique a couple of times.
Mom's yelled at me because I don't do that technique and the kitchen's a mess. So, all right.
Well, I see that's turning into a little bit better. Did you add some more flour? That could really thicken it up.
I actually did add some more flour.
That's good.
So we got a lot of cheese in there, a lot of flour, a good amount of tuna. We're looking good.
Oh,
okay.
Our family was always looking good.
Nah.
All right, but anyway. Well, you know where I get that from, right?
Yeah.
Mom,
All right. I am just, with this now, it's looking done. And I'm going to just put it right in the pan. Okay.
Now, you can also use that technique for frying stuff, actually.
Really?
Like big things, like haddock or a fillet, or even, I'm sure you've heard of mahi-mahi?
Yeah.
But anyway, what you're going to do is, once it's done out of there, it might turn a golden brown, but you want to make sure that it's delicious. And if it's not done and cooked to an internal temperature of, fish is 145, so you want to make sure if it hasn't reached that internal temperature, you can finish cooking it in the oven.
Interesting.
That's too bad. But Dad, I see you're all done with all that. That's
all done.
Very surprising.
Yeah. And the mozzarella.
Yeah.
I just tasted it. They came out good. They came out good.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's very good. But as you can see, it's very easy. I don't know. You could use, you've heard of the string cheese from Roach Brothers, right? Well, you could use that as the mozzarella cheese if you don't have any fresh by.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But actually, Dad, since
what's the mozzarella cheese now? Is that the cow's cheese or goat cheese or what?
Mozzarella cheese.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of buffalo mozzarella, and there's all different kinds of cheese, but goat cheese, that has its own cheese. It's goat cheese. I'm sure you're trying to outdo me on this one, so what do you know about mozzarella?
Clue. Nothing. Nothing at all. So I was just kind of goofing. But
we're almost ready for the first line of chicken, and I don't know whether, do you want to make, I can make this buffalo chicken or we can make it crispy chicken. I say we do a line of crispy and then a line of buffalo. Sounds
great to me.
Goes great with blue cheese.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, Dad, since you're the fryer man over there, how about you take this first line of chicken and show everyone what to do with it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then why don't you still do the other one and get it ready for the buffalo one?
Of course.
Okay. Okay.
All right, well, my dad's showing that. We're just going to continue this. I'm going to grab another pan so that we can have the next line of chicken. And as you can see, the buffalo sauce, which is right there, like I told you earlier, it's a third of a cup of butter melted and a half of a cup of hot sauce. But, Dad, it looks like you're having some trouble over there.
Yeah, the mozzarella sticks are probably not the prettiest that I've ever seen taken out. I apologize.
Well, it's okay, but they're still delicious, and if you make them right, they should turn out beautiful. I don't know what you did over there with the frying technique, but they should be fine.
Yeah, they still taste delicious.
Oh, yeah, actually. Of course.
Okay.
And, of course, if you want more appetizing thing, it's you actually leave the cheese out there, so when you go upon it, it's very gooey, and you want to bite into it more.
Yep.
But I'm still making the chicken, and as you can see, we've already breaded about 8 of them, right, Dad?
Okay.
But then we're still going upon this, and very easy, like I was saying. Very easy, the breading procedure. Let's see, there's different, mostly when you're using deep fat frying, it's mostly well known for seafood and fruits. But it can also be used for tender cuts of meat, which is why I'm using the strips, because they're very tender. And if it isn't tender enough, I already talked in an earlier episode about using a marinade, which can actually make the meat more tender if you leave it in overnight. And if we didn't have such a short show, I'm sure I would have shown you how to do, put it in a marinade, leave it overnight. But very tasty. You need an oil, an acid, and seasonings for a marinade. Okay. So that's very easy to follow. And we only got a few more pieces of chicken left.
Now, how can you tell if it's done? It looks pretty done. It's golden brown.
Well, the thing is, if it isn't done, the best way is to taste it.
Okay.
And that's why all chefs are known to be pretty big guys, because they know how every food they have in their kitchen and how it tastes.
So you're still running?
Of course.
Yeah.
I try to stay in shape because I don't want to turn out like Chef Paul Perdone.
Right. So we're actually about done, aren't we?
Yeah, we're actually
really
very, very close to being done here. Yep. We're just finishing the breading. I saw you picked out the first chicken, and it's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But that also, you want to keep that in a nice golden brown texture.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
So I just want to make sure you're keeping an eye on that. And I've only got like 4 pieces of chicken left. So I can show you, actually, no, I'm going to keep the way I was going and make the first round crispy and the second round buffalo chicken. And I'll show you how to do it yourself. And all you need is what we call a paintbrush. And that's it does what it is, and it just paints on, the nice sauce, and then it leaves it with a great, great texture. And because of the butter, it thickened the sauce, so it's now a little, it'll harden up, and it will turn into the desired buffalo chicken we're waiting for.
Wow, these came out really good.
Well, they should have. Yep. I did use the proper technique, and when you do that, you can see. Dad, you want to bring that back here so we can show it? So you can see it's very delicious. I see you've already tasted it. And
I was going off camera. That's why I was doing it. Sorry.
It's okay, but as you can see, it's delicious.
Yeah.
And I mean, if my dad's eating it, it
That's
must be
good.
delicious.
Ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're ready for the next line.
Okay.
Now, as we finish that up, is there anything you'd like to say about that, Dad, about the casserole? Did you check on that?
Yeah, could you actually, we'll check on it right now.
No problem. Let me just wash it off. Now, you want to be careful when you're working with flour and a watery substance. I'm sure everybody's heard, how much flour can stick to you. And it just becomes like a rock solid. That's why we use it in bread. And that's why it hardens up like that. I'm just going to check on this. And the biscuits are turning golden brown. And the casserole. You did a nice job on this, Dad, because as you can see, it is already hardening up.
Yep.
So it should be good. And we'll just leave that to cook a little bit longer.
What do you think of these? A little
biscuits,
longer? A couple seconds longer?
They deserve a little bit longer because you want to make sure the biscuits are golden brown.
Okay.
And that's a very desired. It's something in your subconscious. When you see something golden brown, you know it is cooked to perfection. Al dente for pasta, basically it's just how things are cooked, which is how your mind reacts to them. Which is why we left the mozzarella sticks all gooey, because you see gooey and you see delicious. Because you see the cheese melting through and you just want to grab a piece. The chicken and the mozzarella sticks, and as you can see, they're delicious. Very good looking.
Yeah.
You can see the the seasonings on top of
Watch
them.
out, honey, it's very
And the
hot.
casserole looks delicious as well. You can see the final touches on that. And that's going to be mixed in, actually.
Actually, you know what we can do? We could do a bunch of different things. It depends. If it's for our house, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Because what you do, we'll scoop it out and we'll put it on. But what you could do is throw more cheese on top of it. Sprinkle different Parmesan or something like that.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what you could also do is actually chop up the biscuits, and then incorporate them into the casserole. That sounds pretty good too.
All right.
I'm just going to grab a plate right here so you can show the buffalo chicken.
Okay.
Just going to grab a couple. Could you grab those tongs over there,
You
Dad?
betcha.
Now, since it's ready to eat, we don't want to handle the food directly.
Use gloves.
Use gloves at all times. Now, we're just going to put the final touches on this. And with our nice little paintbrush, we're going to dab it. And of course, put it on to the food. Now, I'm going to use the tongs as a kind of helper as I can guide the buffalo sauce on top of it. Now, Dad, as you're preparing that, what is that gorgeous topping right there?
You know what? Over here?
Yes.
This is actually the cake. And if I was Julia Child, I would have had like 2 or 3 of them in the oven in case I dropped one. But this is the pineapple upside down cake. You want to make sure it's nice and golden, and some people use a toothpick to make sure nothing comes in when they stick it in. They stick it in and it comes out clean. What you would then do is to make sure everything's good, put it on a rack, flip it over, and it comes out absolutely beautiful. But we're not going to do that today because it's not quite done. But trust me, I'll show you a picture of it next show.
Next show.
All right?
Sounds good.
So that's that.
Yep. And
that's this.
You want to coat it, not totally douse it, because if you douse it, the liquid of the hot sauce is going to be off the sides. But if you put a nice little coating like this, like I have, and of course for presentation purposes, you'd want to clean up the side of this, which I will do in a second. And we're going to have that. Put the tongs down and just clean up the side right there.
And I think that should about do it, shouldn't it?
As you can see, you have a nice little buffalo chicken. Put a little blue cheese right there.
Yeah.
And we have a delicious meal right there. That looks delicious. The casserole looks delicious.
Everything looks good.
We're all set.
I think we're all set.
That's all set.
Good job again. All right, huh?
I'm Art Crandall.
I'm Art Crandall.
And that's Cooking with Crandalls.
See you later. Bye-bye.